Welcome to Liquid, How CFOs Outperform. I'm your host, Tom Gavigan.
And I'm Catherine Otto, Sales Leader at Kyriba in EMEA. Today, Tom and I have a very special guest. Her name is Anna Apelgren, and she is Head of Cash and Tech at Spotify Treasury. Welcome, Anna.
Thank you, Anna, for joining us. And thank you, Catherine, for being our special co-host today while we're at Kyriba Live London, which has been a great event so far today. We did Kyriba Live Paris last week, and a lot of activity, hundreds of customers, and a lot of discussions around market topics and technology and such. So Anna, really looking forward to getting your take on a number of things today. I think we have a unique show for you. And again, as a Spotify nerd, in a way, I won't hog the conversation with my somewhat obsession with Spotify, but there might be some things that come out. But I guess to get the conversation started before we kind of go into some more deeper topics, what tools or technologies have been game changers for you that you've taken in or have used recently at Spotify?
I would say definitely Kyriba is one of the tools that
I
know, you told me
Unsolicited.
Yeah, it was unsolicited.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, but I think Kyriba does a really good job for our treasury in order to stay really automated and do as little manual work as possible.
What right now is getting the most of your attention?
We are just in like a SOX audit period, I would say. So that's taking a lot of time, answering the accountants. But a lot of questions on that, and all different things happening. We have a new CFO. Of course, that's
got to be interesting, right? Kind of getting that person up to speed and the evolution therein, and such a unique thing that you're doing, as well as combining that with the fun of SOX, yeah. So your chief audit officer is probably happy listening to this section here. But I guess to get into the meat of the conversation, one of the key things we really dig into in what we see in our space, financial leaders, a lot of competition, kind of staying ahead of the game and outperforming others in our industry. So this is where we like to talk about what we call the chief outperformance officer, in terms of how we're as finance leaders, how we're evolving and how we're meeting the needs of the market. So I would say I think Spotify is such an innovative technology, right? I think it is independently and separate of its competitors of what you guys do. What would you consider your greatest advantage as an innovator in finance and liquidity management?
We are always striving towards reducing manual work to spend time on what actually matters, and also do more what we call fun things, to always innovate, to always think new. So I think that's in our backbone.
And I think, yeah, it's a very fast pace at Spotify, always has been. And you have this Spotify method, which is agility, right?
Yes.
So how has the agility sort of played into what you get to do at Treasury? I'm sure you're not being held back. In some organizations, it's slow to bring around change. I think you've had the opposite, where you've had to move really quickly.
Definitely. No, I think it's always, we always want to improve what we're doing, and not to see something as written in stone.
Yeah.
If we can improve it, we will improve it.
I've learned working with Spotify over the years, you guys manage risk in different ways because of your business, and also because of the way in which you are continuously adapting, like you just said, and evolving and staying ahead of things. But how do you approach risk management and decision making in your day-to-day? Macro level, a lot of things going on, interest rates impacting FX, supply chains, but I don't know if that would impact you as much, right? And what you do in Spotify.
Not really, no.
But you also have geopolitical activities and elections and tax changes, things like that. I know you guys you guys do a lot of FX hedging and things like that.
But we also try to always have like a natural hedge in what we do.
Mm-hmm.
So in our, if we have a contract with a big label, for instance, we try to match that in the currencies that we collect in, so in the subscription. So we have a big hedging program, but we always try to make sure that it's as nice as clean as well, coming in and out.
Before you actually hedge the actual position.
Yes.
Make sure that there's natural internal offsets.
Yes.
Yeah.
And how does the technology that you're using in that area support that?
There are different things, like we have cash pools with the banks with different currencies, so we can And then we have automation on how we treat the top positions of the cash pools, for instance. And we have the hedging program in Kyriba. So there's different methods for us to hedge.
Any insights or what you're seeing, or perhaps what your new CFO is talking about internally about the macro environment and its impact on Spotify, whether it's the volatility of the interest rates, which are starting to come down, or FX changes that we're seeing perhaps with Japan, anything there that you're hearing about internally that you're planning for?
So Christian, he comes from a Swedish big defense company.
Okay.
So he's been really, I think, heard a lot of things of what's happening. And he promised he would not share too many risks at the same time. Being a mother of small kids, I try to stay away too far a little bit too away from the really scary topics. Mm-hmm. But I definitely think that's his focus, to look at the risks and that we are in a really moving environment, volatile.
Yeah. We've seen a lot so far today at Kyriba Live on the keynotes, some of the breakouts, a lot of the conversation on AI. And it's a natural thing we have to talk about. I think this product of Spotify has been ahead of the curve with AI for so long. The ability to find new music and new artists based on your preferences is amazing. Discover Weekly every Monday, one of my favorite things to see and uncover some new talent out there. So share with us your viewpoint on AI, Anna. Like, what do you see in terms of its impact in finance and treasury? What are you seeing internally at Spotify in terms of how AI can be brought to use day to day?
Have you tried our new daily list?
Oh yeah, daily 1, daily 2, daily 3. Yeah, I've used those for a while. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. I love them because they also align to different genre types, I think, as well, which is really
I usually get like a little bit of your news in there.
And that's what's also great, because I'm a big podcast guy too. So yeah, it blends it all together, so you get a little bit of everything.
No, but I think like you say, AI for us is it's something that we want to use, and it's not anything that we're afraid of. We had a session with HR the other week to make sure that people do not feel like how to manage AI as a leader, basically. Mm-hmm. So I think it's definitely everywhere around us, and we're not staying away from it, but we need to know how to manage it. In Treasury, we do not more normal small things like ask a question. We don't have that much AI in the process as such. Looking forward to the new Kyriba functionality, especially the search. And I love the search. But from different areas like vendor, like invoices, how can we read invoices with AI? There's different areas that we're looking into AI, but nothing that we have actually applied to in the process as yet.
Did we talked about in what I was talking about on stage today, did that make sense in terms of, I think, that comfortability line that we're towing, I think, in terms of what you just said, AI to do a lot of the operational things that we want to get rid of, right? And using AI to do it. And I know that Spotify, you guys were ahead of the curve using robotics, I know a number of times to help automate things. But do you think also with what we do in finance and treasury, there's that next level, like we talked in Showcase today, using AI to find FX exposures, to hedge and execute hedging. Do you think that is a little bit further off for us as humans to allow for that? Or do you think that'll be here sooner rather than later?
I think it'll be here sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
I think that the challenge is how to control it and to evidence.
That's what everybody says. Evidence, proof.
Exactly.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. How do we make sure that we actually are hedging the right thing? That's always tricky.
Yeah.
But how do we know that we're doing the right thing, and how can we evidence?
Yep. But also, that's kind of the exciting evolution, I think, of where AI goes. But also, you talked about SOX at the beginning, and you're going to see AI involved in helping with compliance and helping with documentation, right? And policy is another area of focus that we see where these AIs can work together and in different ways, but also control one another as well, which is will be there sooner rather than later, especially with what Kyriba is doing and bringing to market here.
I'm very much looking forward to the AIs to help with the bank's KYC processes.
Yeah, it's with the big one. Yeah,
That will
working
be
on that too.
a big improvement there for sure.
So the next section we wanted to dig into a little bit more is what we call our CFO Secrets, where we want to talk a little bit more about your secret to success, right? Your background, your viewpoint on the market, and how people can grow to your job level and onward. And so I think, Catherine, you had a couple of questions we wanted to start off because we have such a special guest here today. So Catherine, go ahead.
Great, Anna. So obviously everyone has secrets, and I think you've got a few as well. So I wonder if you wouldn't mind sharing. Obviously, you're a lady, and you're in treasury and finance, and sort of what are the challenges that you've experienced being a female in this industry?
I can sometimes feel a little bit small, like a little bit like a young girl, especially in a room full of men. So I really have to rely and find that self-confidence that I can do this. I can have my voice and I can take a seat at the table, So I think it's more of pushing or finding the confidence within me than.
So it's up to you, really.
I think it's more up to me. I think it's more in my head than anything else.
But I think part of it as well is Spotify has a culture of diversity, right? Yeah. And has that helped, I guess, being a part of that and helping drive some of that as well?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think Spotify has I wouldn't say that there is any kind of there's not a big difference, and I think maybe it's also because it's a Swedish company, where I would say that the gender equality diversity in Sweden is quite good.
Yeah.
And what about sort of opportunities that you see? What do you think women bring to treasury and to finance in terms of our unique, DNA?
I would generally say that there aren't that much of a difference between men and women. I think we are all persons and we can all have our own qualities, and they might not be from your sex.
You're 10 years a band member at Spotify, and you've been in the industry a long time. I noticed that
band member.
Yeah,
what's band member?
A band member. Yeah.
You're a band member. That's right. At Spotify. Yeah.
But I think you set out, if I remember correctly, studying human resources. Did you not?
Did,
so
yes.
I guess it's how did you get in?
Really?
How did you fall? Into treasury.
No, I did study that, and then when I finished university, there weren't that many jobs within HR unless I wanted to go to some small city in the south. So I got a job in a bank. Did that for a year and a half or something, and then I'm not getting my plan was to get to HR within the bank. Yeah. So then I'm not getting into HR here. I need to move. I need to do something different. And then I applied for a job with my previous company, Atlas Copco, a big Swedish company. And during the interview, I kind of realized that I don't know what they're doing. So I said, I will need to learn. But I'm really good at learning, and I'm really good at applying myself to do that. Yeah. So then I got that job, and from there on, it's just been
self-taught,
fun journey, I would say. Yeah. Working with incredible people, really, really learning from super, super nice and good people.
Yeah, you've had a great journey, and I guess if you had to get hold of yourself 10 years ago, so you got the job at Spotify, what would you advise yourself? Or any other young women who walk into
have fun, enjoy it, put trust and confidence in, dare to ask questions, dare to
ask questions. I like that.
I like that. Yeah. I agree with so much what you said about, at the end of the day, it's all human, right? And diversity, though, is so incredibly important. I value it so much. I think as a culture in Kyriba, we also really, really respect that. And then inside of our own individual organizations, I think it's one of my favorite things to bring people from different walks of life and backgrounds and experiences and race and sex and age and such. I would say, though, I think in our industry of finance and treasury, it is still male dominated, right? I think ultimately. And one of the challenges you ultimately have sometimes when you're growing your team and trying to grow the organization is the talent pool and trying to find that diversity whereby, you get the same resume, it's the same profile. Any recommendations or thoughts in terms of like how, like you came from HR or HR background, right? You studied it. Is it about opening up the talent pool, looking for people who are outliers that aren't just directly down the middle of an organization? How can we encourage more diversity when you just want to hire somebody and get, support in as quick as possible?
Spotify has done a really good job on opening up and trying to communicate that we're looking for diversity, basically. We want to have a big group.
It starts top down, right? It's like it's hard to go bottom up. It's got to be top down.
And I'm not sure if you can phrase the ad in a way to really like make it more open.
No, I think the ad is only the end result. It's the end result of what you build internally, right? And I think it's living by what you preach and exposing it and showing it, and then probably magnetizing in a way the talent to come in as well is also a big thing. Like people want to work for Spotify because of that culture. People want to work for Kyriba because of that culture. I think that's part of it as well. I think we've had a number of people, like hearing everybody's background and their evolution into this space. I think you're quite unique in your background starting in HR actually, which is quite cool. What do you wish you would have known before you started down this path?
I don't think that
no warning signs, no things that were a surprise to you that you had no idea about?
Oh, probably tons. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But I think it's all like not everything you do is of course not fun. But I think like the full journey of it is a lot of fun, and there's a lot of development, a lot of getting exposed to new things, and maybe I'm not sure if it's something I should have known, but really not to be too. I don't think I'm afraid, but like really take all challenges. Take risks. Yeah.
Like being on a podcast.
Yeah.
I guess I'll ask one last question is, what is the most important thing listeners need to be aware of in their roles right now? Like, what would you say is the one thing that kind of remember there's people different walks of life listening, right? People that might just be an analyst level to cash managers to treasury leaders and so on. So what's the one thing that is most important for them to be aware of in their role right now?
I think they need to be curious. Yeah.
Couldn't agree more.
I think, really explore,
Learn.
Don't be afraid. Like, I think to me that helps. Looking at it from my work me, then it's not scary, because then it's the work me. So everything is like, just be curious.
Continuous
dig
learning.
in.
Yeah, got to.
That's a good segue. I'm sorry, I don't know if you were going to ask, Tom, but I'm dying to know. So then, in context, what's your favorite band?
Oh, it's Journey.
Was sharing beforehand, one of my favorite things about Spotify, it's coming up here, is the Wrapped, right? Is Spotify Wrapped, where we get to see how many hours we've listened and which are top artists and genre. What's going to be on Anna's Spotify Wrapped? Journey, I guess, and anything else. What else?
I'm sorry, it's going to be kids' music. They really messed up my playlist.
You got to go to the product team and be like, hey, us parents, we don't want that included in the algorithm. Just ignore it. Just ignore it. Yeah. It's not my favorite. Wheels on the Bus is not my favorite song.
No, and it's like now it even gets harder, because now the 8-year-old, she's like messing it up because she's listening to pop.
8-year-old pop.
8-year-old pop. So it's not even like the Wheels on the Bus. It's like, it gets messed up.
I find, again, I'm such a fan of it because I've discovered so much. There's been individuals or bands that I have gone and seen them in 50-person bars that are now playing Red Rocks and opening for massive acts. And it's all because of that. These uncovered individual buskers, effectively, that I think can grow and do what they're doing because of technologies like Spotify, actually. It's really fascinating. And as a music fan and musician myself, it's pretty cool. Very cool. Well, thank you so much, Anna, for being here. Catherine, thank you for joining me on this. I appreciate that so much. Anna, any last parts? How does the audience keep up with you or reach out to you or contact you?
I'm not a big social media person, but LinkedIn definitely exists.
Thanks for tuning in, folks. To never miss an episode, link or subscribe to wherever you may listen, like Spotify. I'm your host, Tom Gavigan, and this is Liquid, How CFOs Outperform.